Hello guys, today I am gonna be riding my 2025 GSX-R 600. Got my gloves there. I bought this bike last winter sometime, what was that, December, January? But I used it as a track bike and for just a spare bike. This here is my main bike, the S1000. That's all I've been riding for the past 2 years, so I haven't ridden a 600 in over 2 years. But yeah, for a track bike, I wanted something cheaper, something smaller. So this is going to be just fine. I used to have 600s in the past, but I haven't had one in, like 2 years, ever since I got this S1000. And the weather is starting to look pretty nice out here, so we're going to take her for her first ride. Yeah, it's completely stock. Oh, I got tail tidy, frame sliders, stuff like that. And yeah, start up. It's got 1 kilometer on it. I don't know if you guys can see that. 1 kilometer. I'm gonna start her up. Oh yeah, gotta pull in the clutch for that. Definitely gonna need an exhaust yet. But it's a great looking bike. Yeah, compared to the S1000, that's what, 210 horsepower or something like that to the crank. Plus that one's tuned or flashed with a VT Moto tune. This one is supposed to be around 110 horsepower, I think. Not really too sure. Don't really know everything about this thing. A little under 600 cc's. And they haven't changed this bike in the last 13 years, since 2013 I think. It's definitely smaller. This got me my first impressions on it. The throttle definitely feels looser than my BMW, but that's to be expected. I installed it. This is literally my first time riding this bike. Seating position feels a little weird. Not what I'm used to. It's a softer seat, quite a bit softer. It's definitely not slow, it feels nice. Obviously at top speed is gonna feel slower, but this bike isn't meant for top speed. Shifts nice and smooth. It doesn't have the quick shifter, which I'm gonna miss riding this thing. Something I can hopefully install later on in my life. Brakes though, brakes feel alright. Yeah, since this bike hasn't been updated in 13 years, it still doesn't have a fuel gauge. We got a fuel light once we get to be empty, but we don't have a fuel gauge to see how much we got. So we're just gonna go fill her up. Gas has been in here since last fall for sure, or ever since they probably got this bike into the dealership. And yeah, 2025, I got it as an old stock bike, so I got a better deal on it. At the end of the day, it's the same bike as the 2026s or anything older. Yeah, the power band, that wasn't really enough to exactly see, but I could start feeling at 10,000 RPM. That's where the power band really kicked in. Not really enough space here to test that out, but it sounds alright for being stock, honestly. Like, it's not loud, but it sounds pretty nice. Not quite sure how well you guys can hear that, but I gotta go fuel her up and then take her for a spin on the highway. Horn works. Screen and everything's pretty simple. Along with the rest of the bike, that hasn't changed in the last 13 years, so it's pretty 2013. And I think even when these things came out, like with this model, they were already kind of behind and everything, so it feels nice. Honestly impressed. This is my first new 600 I've ever ridden. All the other 600s I've had in the past, they've all been like 2003s or something like. Feels really nice. Sorry, fuck. I keep the horn is just so close to the signal lights. Yeah, definitely not as much power in the low range as the S1000. This kind of makes me feel, yeah, the S1000 when it was untuned, just stock ECU, kind of felt like this in the low RPM range, but after I got it flashed, it felt a whole lot better. So I did hear a lot of people saying without flashing it kind of feels like a 600, and yeah, it kind of does, but kind of worried about these things. They are just Velcro. There's like one little clip and Velcro on these things. Kind of worried about them, but I guess your legs are over them most of the time. At least we got a neutral light. We do have a gear indicator, so first gear. That's nice. I know a lot of the older bikes didn't have that. It does have almost everything other than the fuel gauge, which is kind of signal light. Yeah, it sounds pretty nice for being stock. Give her some of that. Oh, $2.06 a liter premium. Oh, that hurts. Yeah, that's the only gauge you get on this bike, is looking down into it. Alright, we'll fill her up. $7 liters. I want to say for around town, this bike feels really good. I would have no issues with taking this over the S1000 if I wanted to do a quick town run, for sure. Definitely, I would say almost more comfortable. Ergonomically, no, with the way my body's positioned on here, it's not quite as nice. But I can feel my back would definitely start hurting earlier on this thing. But the seat's softer. Yeah, softer seat definitely feels nice. Goes into neutral nicely. Yeah, everything's kind of very close together. The stop, start, like same with the horn and the signal lights, all kind of close together. Something you'd have to get used to. Frame sliders. It's actually my first bike I've ever had that I put frame sliders on. But considering this is gonna be my track bike, I figured I might as well. And this is also gonna be my spare bike that my friends are gonna be riding, so might as well protect it. Don't really like the look of the frame sliders. I know they protect the bike quite a bit. Same with the axle sliders. But yeah, I really don't like the look of it. You sit further back. I feel like I sit further back on this thing than I do with the S1000. I know with leader bikes, they're known to be bigger bikes, but this thing almost feels longer. Maybe it's just the seat, but It's been too long since I last rode the CBRs that I had, or a CB650. I don't really remember how those were. But this one, you know, it doesn't have cruise control, which obviously it's a 600 and it's from 2013. Doesn't have cruise control. I will figure out something. I know there's like the throttle locks and stuff like that. If my friends are gonna be riding this, my girlfriend or whatever, we're gonna want some kind of, you know, cruise control. Especially if I ride with the S1000, I tend to ride long trips, and just makes it a whole lot easier. I can flat foot this thing, so it's definitely lower. On my S1000, I gotta be pretty tippy toes on both toes, so that's probably a good 2.5-3 inches higher, probably maybe like 4. So that's quite a bit lower seat height, which is all right. Maybe that's also why it feels longer, even though it's not. Yeah, it's a nice bike. It's definitely a more affordable option if you're looking for a brand new bike. I think altogether with fees and everything, with the discount that I got for it being an old stock, it's like $13,000 for this thing, versus like $30,000 for the S1000. So it's a nice cheaper option if you want to buy a new bike for your first bike, or you want to upgrade to a 600 from your other bike. Yeah, let's see how she does on the highway. Just gonna turn around here, head back the other way. Also, for the power wise, I don't know if like there's a break-in period where it limits the power for the first little while. I know with some bikes there is. The rear brake doesn't do much at all. I know you're not supposed to be using the rear brake that much, but that's not doing much. Yeah, it's just the rear brakes. Yeah, I don't know if there's some adjustments that need to be made, but there's nothing going on there. The engine braking is pretty strong on it. You kind of just let go of the throttle and the engine does a lot of the braking. Something to get used to. Again, that's something I might be able to adjust. There is a rider A and rider B on this thing. I don't even know how to change that yet. Does it even have traction control? I don't think it does. Anyways, that's the ride. That's my first impression of it. It's a pretty nice bike all around. Obviously I still like the BMW more, but this is a solid option. It's a nice bike to have. It's perfect. Well, if you guys enjoyed, subscribe. If you guys like this bike, buy one. More people should buy bikes. Bye bye.